Hello, my name is Federico Rotman. I am the Special Projects Manager and a research scientist here at Hubbs-SeaWorld Research Institute. My education background is my undergrad at University of New Hampshire, and then I got a master's degree from the Rosenstiel School of Atmospheric Sciences in Miami, Florida. Here at Hubbs-SeaWorld Research Institute, my primary responsibilities are within the Department of Aquaculture, larval rearing, taking care of broodstock, taking care of a lot of the animals, and among my many responsibilities, taking care of the systems and making sure that all the life support equipment is fully functional to keep our animals healthy. Today we're going to talk about these life support systems, and I'm going to give you some descriptions of how they work, what kind of maintenance we have to do on them, and how they're important to the animals themselves. Let's start at the main pump house where we draw water from Mission Bay, where it all begins. So right now I'm going to show you where our main seawater intake point is. At this buoy right there behind me is where our pipe draws water in from Mission Bay. This requires quite a bit of maintenance. About once a month or so, we have to make sure that pipe is nice and clean. A lot of organisms will start growing on it, and we have to make sure that we keep that clear so the water can get pulled in through our main seawater pumps, which are in this house right here. And those are also a piece of equipment that require constant maintenance. Once a day, we have to make sure that they're operating perfectly. We have to lubricate all the ball bearings, we have to constantly adjust the valves and make sure that these don't fail us. We do have two of them, so if one of them does go down, the other one can act as backup.
How often are you maintaining them?
Daily maintenance. These require daily observation. We have a computer system that actually regulates their operation, and if anything goes wrong with them, that computer system will actually call out to us at home and let us know that there's a problem, and that's when one of our technicians or one of ourselves will come in to the laboratory and address the issue.
How much water does it pull in?
These guys are pulling in about 300 gallons per minute.
Where are we now, Fetty?
So right now we are at our main sand filter system. This is where all those 300 gallons per minute have to go through in order to improve the water quality coming in from the bay for our sensitive animals. It's a very critical part of the life support systems. These filters behind me basically are full of sand. The water is pushed through that sand in order to remove any particles or any potential disease that may come in from the wild and protect our animals within our systems. These also require constant maintenance, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. We're always on call. We've spent many holidays, Christmases, Thanksgivings maintaining these pieces of equipment. They're automated, but they still require a lot of upkeep.
How often do you change them out?
These are actually automatically backwashed on a daily basis. They're a computer system that goes through and backwashes all the waste products out of it. But we do need to usually inspect them about once a week or so. And if anything goes wrong with them, we have to, which happens usually a few times a year, we have to get in there with our wrenches and our saws and glue and fix them up.
So is there any technology on the horizon to replace this type of filtration at step one?
Oh, I have a long wish list. These filters have been working very well for us. They're about 20 years old or so. There's some great updated technologies, but these aren't cheap. But we certainly have a wish list of items that I'd love to replace these with. But they do work well for us.
Okay. Where are we now, Fetty?
So right now we're between some of our larger yellowtail broodstock tanks. To my left here is an example of one of our recirculation systems. This is a large bioreactor that's used to clean the water within one of our closed-loop recirculated broodstock tanks. This removes the ammonia and cleans the water for the fish. And in fact, a lot of the water that we pull in from Mission Bay is filtered to the point that when we return it, it's actually cleaner than it was when we pulled it in. Here to my right is an example of one of our yellowtail grow-out tanks. This is a prime example of animals that need really high quality water in order to be as healthy as possible. That's where all of our filtration systems come into play. We have automated systems that control their oxygen, and we're constantly maintaining these tanks. We're cleaning them. We're ensuring that these fish have the best environment possible for their health.
Okay, yellowtail, I'm hungry now. Tell me the size of those fish in there, please.
These guys are about they're about 2.5 kilos right now. Yeah, these guys are kind of on the smaller end of market size, and they are delicious.
All right, thank you. Where are we now, Fedi?
So right now I'm going to show you an example of one of our discharge points. This is where the water leaves some of our fish tanks and makes its way back to the bay. Now we monitor this water to ensure that it is as clean as possible. It's in great condition. Often it's cleaner than it actually is coming in from the bay.
Thank you.
So right now we're in one of our larviculture rooms. In this tank here we've got about 250,000 4-day-old yellowtail. Now these guys are the animals that require the highest level of water quality. Afterwards I'll show you some of the filtration systems that are required to keep these guys as healthy as possible. They're very delicate animals and are very sensitive to any kind of disease or water quality issues. So right now we're at our main oxygen distribution point here. Right next to me are some large oxygen dewars. These contain liquid oxygen within them. As we use them, the liquid oxygen gets vaporized into gaseous oxygen and distributed throughout all of our fish tank systems.
So why would we add oxygen?
So we keep our fish at slightly higher densities than we would find them in the wild, and the fish themselves will consume the oxygen within the seawater that we supply them. Therefore, we have to supplement that oxygen to keep them as healthy as possible. So right now we're within the filtration area that's supplying water for those larval fish that we just took a look at. As I mentioned there, that's where our highest level of water quality has to be maintained. And in order to do that, we've got to go through a whole series of different filtration steps. For example, we've got a drum filter here that pulls out the largest particles of the incoming water. Behind that, we've got a sump that has a foam fractionation that cleans the water up even more. We've got some pumps that then bring the water around to some microparticulate filters that brings that water filtration down to about 1 micron, so 1/1000th of 1 millimeter particles get removed here. And then behind me right here is an ultraviolet filter which actually disinfects the water, and this kills any bacteria or viruses that may enter in from the bay and ensures that we keep those larval fish as healthy as possible.
Highly sensitive equipment, how much maintenance? I mean, is it getting replaced often? What happens to it?
This system requires daily maintenance. We have to change out, for example, cartridge filters 3 times a week. The UV bulbs have to be inspected on a daily basis to make sure that they're working properly and replaced every few months to make sure that they have the highest level of disinfection. A number of our different filtration systems requires different schedules of maintenance, but we have got it all mapped out and constantly being updated. And
so what you're telling us is you never get to rest?
No. We've been here Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever it takes.
Yeah, Betty.
So right now we're within our 24 tank research system. This is where we do trials on larviculture, working on improving our methodologies and studying all the different aspects to improve the culture of various species of fish, including yellowtail, white sea bass, halibut. And here we perfect, for example, how many plankton we want per unit volume for them to feed off of, what temperatures we want to be at, what light levels are optimal for their survival, a number of different research topics.
Hi, Brittany. So they're empty right now. What's next?
So in a few months, we're going to start setting up for a trial, which will fill these guys up with water, put larval fish eggs inside there.
Which species will you be using?
We'll be using, on the next trial, we'll be using yellowtail.
What are the other species you've tested in here or worked with?
We've worked with white sea bass, with halibut in recent years.
All right, thank you.